We are watching Hurricane Milton very closely at this hour on its ominous path toward Florida.
Yeah, this is a historically dangerous hurricane.
Hurricane Milton is closing in on Florida.
Americans are watching and waiting. Barreling across the Gulf of Mexico, Hurricane Milton is expected to hit the west coast of Florida tonight.
I urge everyone in Hurricane Milton's path to follow all safety instructions as we head to the next 24 hours. It's literally a matter of life and death.
In scarcely 72 hours, it's transformed from a tropical storm, fueled by the hot waters of the Gulf, into one of the most powerful hurricanes on record, its awesome power clearly visible from space. And while it's shifted between Category 4 and 5, its size is increasing rapidly, its winds now stretching 125 miles away from the center of the storm. And it's only thanks to daring government scientists like the crew of the Miss Piggy flying directly through the eye of the hurricane that we know the speed and strength of what could be one of the most damaging natural disasters to ever hit this part of the United States.
While there is the hope that it will weaken more before landfall, there is high confidence that this hurricane is going to pack a major punch and do an awful lot of damage.
Millions have been ordered to evacuate, flooding the highways and leaving cities in the hurricane's path looking like ghost towns.
Well, we were ordered to evacuate, and if anybody knows anything about Florida, when you don't evacuate when you're ordered to, you can pretty much die.
Even the penguins at the Florida Aquarium are on the move.
Hurricane Milton is moving over water temperatures in the Gulf of Mexico that are at record levels for this time of year. In terms of climate change does not create hurricanes. There won't even necessarily be more storms, but research indicates that a greater proportion of the storms that do develop will rapidly intensify, as Milton has, and reach these intensities that they would not be able to otherwise.
At 3 feet above normally dry ground, water is already life-threatening.
And while the hurricane's winds are shocking on their own, it's the wall of water they're pushing towards the coast that is the biggest threat to Floridians. American television networks tried their best to make that danger clear, showing what a storm surge of 15 feet of water might look like. But not everyone is heeding their warnings.
I mean, we can leave, but you're looking at the interstate. By the time you find a place, it's no place. You can't go to Georgia, you can't go to Carolina, so you got to go west toward Pensacola, Panama City. I'm pretty sure all that's booked to Mobile, Alabama. All the rooms are taken.
Also stuck in the hurricane's path, the debris from Hurricane Helene, the remains of homes hit just over a week ago, now poised to become deadly projectiles in the hands of Hurricane Milton's winds.
Large tornado in progress.
Already deadly tornadoes, summoned up by the thunderstorms on Milton's edge, are hitting southern Florida, with warnings in place across the homes of nearly 12 million people. Disaster recovery officials are poised to deal with the aftermath of whatever may come, but with conditions worsening on the ground every hour and with airports all around shut down, locals aren't thinking about recovery, only survival.
Well, CNN reporter Ivan Rodriguez is live in Tampa, Florida. Ivan, the weather looks atrocious already behind you. Bring us up to speed on what the very latest is.
Kathy, the weather's absolutely deteriorated, especially in the last hour. Stronger winds, rain is coming down a lot harder now as well. And the most concerning part is we're only expecting it to get worse as we go closer to that landfall time way later tonight. Hurricane conditions later this evening. To my right, I want to show you here the waves that have been crashing in here where we are in Hillsborough Bay. Behind me, way into the distance, beyond that water, is actually Tampa, skyscrapers that now we can really no longer see. But here where I'm actually standing, I spoke earlier with a Tampa police officer. This part used to be, was flooded, I should say, with Hurricane Helene. And there's still so much damage here, Kathy, that we've seen from Hurricane Helene.
And far greater damage expected with this one.
And exactly, from an official standpoint, Kathy, people have said the damage will be even greater. I want to show you here just a piece of the damage that we've seen already from Hurricane Helene 2 weeks ago. This pier right here closed off still. Pieces of wood still scattered on it. Another part, Kathy, that's really dangerous, obviously the winds, that speed of which this hurricane is coming in, but also the storm surge levels. I'm about 5 feet 11 inches. This pole here compared to me, we're splitting storm surge of up to 12 feet possibly in the Tampa Bay area, which would be about double my size compared to that. Storm surge levels like that, not only would they be historic, but deadly, covering what would be a one-story home.
I mean, we're having to continually wipe the camera lens because the rain is coming in so fast now. So just briefly, clearly these kind of ferocious storms are getting more frequent. Scientists say clearly that's because of climate change. Is that going to have any impact on the politics, the presidential election looming? Is that going to shift votes?
Look, it's been a conversation definitely for the last couple of years. Whether we see a drastic change, I think it is key. I think we really can't tell. Take us back 2 years, 2022, Hurricane Ian destroyed pretty much parts of Fort Myers south of where we are right now. A big conversation happened at that point, and now we're back-to-back hurricanes. 2 weeks, Hurricane Helene. We've seen the devastation. Now Hurricane Milton. What kind of devastation and damage will we see from it? And how will that spark now future political conversations? I think it's still up in the air, and we'll have to see what happens.
Well, Ivan, I'll let you and your camera crew get in the dry now. Thank you very much for joining us. Well, let's take a closer look at Hurricane Milton with our weather presenter, Liam Dutton, who joins me now. Liam, the hurricane has been fluctuating in strength between a Category 4 and 5. Just set out how worrying this event is.
Well, Kathy, it's actually fairly common for major hurricanes like Milton to fluctuate in intensity over time. As we know, it started off yesterday or the day before yesterday as a tropical storm, quickly intensified to Category 5, went back down to Category 4, it's been up to 5, now it's back down to 4 again. The important thing here is not to focus on the category of the hurricane at this point, because the message about the storm, as we just heard there, has not changed. You know, it's a powerful, destructive hurricane. It will slam into western Florida within the next 12 hours with heavy flooding rain, damaging winds, and most concerningly, the size of the storm surge, potentially 10 to 15 feet in some spots. That's higher than a double-decker bus.
And you could see from Ivan there in Tampa, Florida, just how ferocious it is already. But what are the details on the storm's path?
Well, the latest forecast from the National Hurricane Center places the storm making landfall on the west coast of Florida in the early hours of Thursday morning, local US time, probably as a Category 3 or Category 4 storm. The exact landfall point at this point is still quite tricky to work out, but it's looking like it'll be a few tens of miles away from Tampa in Florida. But the problem with these big storms is that sometimes when they start interacting with land and you get frictional forces, they can wobble at the last minute. So all eyes will be on this storm as it approaches the Florida coast.
And we heard about some of the politics around climate change just now, but give us the science on that and the connection with these kind of hurricanes and their ferocity.
Absolutely. Well, climate change can have a number of impacts on storms like these. Obviously, they draw their energy from the warm ocean water. As the oceans warm with climate change, there'll be more energy available for them to become more intense more quickly. Secondly, we've also got the rainfall aspect. A warmer atmosphere can hold more moisture. Therefore, the hurricanes can deliver even more rainfall, causing more flooding. And finally, there's the sea level aspect. As sea levels rise, it makes coastal communities more susceptible to huge storm surges that we see in storms like these.
Liam, thanks very much.